Today's yoga session is going to be a balance and flow yoga session. Just find your mat. If you have a block, find the block. If you have water, get some water and meet me on the mat. Alright, so today we're starting out in tabletop. So let's get our hands on the mat, bring our knees down on the mat too. We're going to stack our shoulders over our wrists, stacking your hips over your knees, placing the top of the foot firmly onto your mat, and then engaging your core, finding your straight back, straight spine. And let's just take a couple breaths here. We're getting ourselves ready for today. So let's breathe in and breathe out. And again, breathe in and breathe out. Just one more time, breathing in and then breathing out. We'll find our way into a spinal balance. So let's go ahead and bring our right arm up in the air, and our left leg comes up behind us. Stretching out, finding our balance already, the first pose. Finding the balance, finding the stability, engaging your core, getting a straight line in between the tip of your finger and the back of your heel. So let's take just 2 more breaths here. This is the warm-up. We're going to go relatively slow through these poses. And then we'll slowly lower our hand down, slowly lower our knee down. And then we'll come into a spinal balance on the other side. So let's lift up your left arm, lift up your right leg, and find balance and stability. Maybe you need to gaze at something that's not moving to find your balance. But feel the energy that's running between your fingertips and the back of your heel. And let's take a few more breaths here. Just getting more stable with every breath. Let's lower that hand down, knee back down again, back into tabletop. And let's one more time kind of come up for a spinal balance on the other side. So lifting up your right arm in the air, lifting up your left leg. Let's take a few more breaths here. Hopefully we're getting better at the stability thing already. And then lowering that hand down and lowering the knee down. Let's lift up the other leg again and the other arm one more time. Reaching out in front and reaching out behind with your leg. Finding the balance, feeling the energy. And then from here, we're just gonna lower down our left hand and take this right leg back. We're gonna push the ball of the foot onto the ground, onto the mat, and you're just gonna push on the ball of your foot. Kind of coming into a hamstring stretch first. Maybe you're using your arms to push back as well. Just focusing on that one hamstring stretch there off to the side. We'll just take a few more breaths, just focusing on that hamstring, just pushing back a little bit. Alright, and then let's come into an abduct stretch. So let's bring your right leg off to the side of your body. And then still in this tabletop pose here, kind of bring either the side of the foot down to the ground or maybe the sole of the foot down to the ground. And kind of just, you should be feeling the stretch here in your abduct. Maybe you need to bring your leg out a little bit further, but try and keep your hips stacked over your knee on the left side, on the other side. So 2 more breaths here. Slowly, let's lift up. So we're walking our hands toward our knee, bringing our torso up, putting pressure on your left knee only. So if you need to bend your mat, put some more padding underneath that knee before we get up there, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we'll just lift our torso all the way up. And then we'll come in for a side bend real quick. So slide your right hand down your right leg as you lift your left arm up and over. So we're still at the very beginning. I'm still very tight. I'm definitely not ready and flexible yet, so I can't go too far. but just go a little bit. And then find your way back down. So straighten your spine first, straighten your torso, and then your hands can find their way onto the mat. And then from here, let's sweep that right leg back under into tabletop pose. And we're gonna sweep our right arm up in the air, and then thread that underneath our armpit. And then bring the side of our face slowly down to the mat. Bring the side of our body down to the mat. And then reach out your arm in front of you. Let's take a couple breaths here. Yeah, just getting deeper into this twist with every breath. If you want to as well, you can push on the mat a little bit, opening up your chest a little bit more. All right, and then let's find our way back into our tabletop pose. Bring your hand down here, lifting up, and placing your other hand underneath your shoulder. All right, now let's work on the other side. So let's go ahead and left foot. Just push that left foot backwards into the mat. Push, so we're stretching that hamstring. Getting a good hamstring stretch going on. Push, push, push. Let's take a few more breaths here. Just getting that hamstring stretched out. We need to find the balance in our stretching. So all the time that we stretch on the other side, stretch this one too. All right, and then come back up, put the pressure back onto our hands, and then sweep your left leg around to the side of your body, and placing either the bottom of the foot down or the side of the foot down. Keeping your hips stacked over this knee, hands down on the ground. We'll just take a few more breaths here. Maybe you need to walk your leg out a little bit. Maybe you even want to push back a little bit to get a little stretch going on. All right, a couple more breaths here. All right, and then let's come up for our side bend. So walking our hands kind of towards our knee, straightening our torso up in the air. So now there should be a straight line from that knee up to the shoulder. And then let's slide your left hand down your left knee as we bring the right arm up and over, coming into a little side stretch on the other side. So just go as far as your body tells you to. Don't go too much further than that. All right, and let's come around again. Place our hands back down on the mat. And find our way back into our tabletop pose. And this time, let's lift your left arm up in the air, and then thread that underneath your armpit, bringing the side of the face down to the mat on the other side. And then we can walk that right hand out in front of us. And take a few more breaths here. Once again, you can also push to open up a little bit further. Good. All right, and then let's work our way back up into that tabletop pose again. So stacking our shoulders over our wrists. We're actually gonna come down into a puppy dog pose next. I like puppy dog pose. So keeping your hips stacked over your knees, slowly make your way down so your chest is coming down towards the mat. So let's walk your hands out slightly as you lower your chest down. Finding the roundness in your spine, having a slight back bend, but it's more of a forward bend because your arms are out in front of you. Your shoulder blades are coming together. And maybe you want to bring your head down to the mat or lift it up. Let's take a few more breaths here, just finding the roundness in your spine, finding the balance that you need. Let's work our way back up again. Good. All right, let's into a cat-cow real quick. So just rounding your spine up. And then rounding your spine all the way down. Chest open, tailbone tucked up. And then again, rounding up into cat. Maybe you're inhaling for cat. And then exhale for cow. Let's do 2 more times. Rounding up, inhale for cat. And then exhale for cow. And last time here, round up for cat. And then down for cow. Awesome. Then finding your way back into that tabletop position again. Let's push back into a down dog. So this is the first down dog of the day. We're doing lots and lots of down dogs today. So curl those toes under and push those hips up towards the sky. And let's pedal our heels out a little bit, bending the knees down towards the mat, pushing the heels down towards the mat. Let's do one at a time, keeping your upper back just broad and open. Alright, and then let's walk your hands all the way to standing. All the way to standing and roll up one vertebrae at a time. And then find mountain pose. So ground down through all 4 corners of your feet. Alright, and then we'll lift our arms up in the air. And then hinging at the hips, let's come down into a forward fold. And then placing our hands down somewhere on the mat. We're gonna come into our flow. So this is the first flow of the evening. So let's sweep that right foot backwards. So sweep it back into a low lunge. So this is the low lunge here. We're gonna take a breath or 2. So if you need to have your hands on the inside of your foot, that works. If it works to have them on the outside, that's awesome. Slide this left foot back now into a plank pose. And then we're gonna chaturanga down, all right? Chaturanga all the way. And then push your chest up for an up dog. And then we're gonna push our hips back, so curl those toes under. Push the hips back for a down dog. And then from here, we're gonna sweep that right foot through. Maybe you need to sweep it around. Maybe you just kind of come through, whatnot. And then find your way into that low lunge again on the other side. And then 1 or 2 more breaths here, and we'll step up to the front. Hands on the mat at first, because then we're gonna roll up one vertebrae at a time. And that was our flow. Let's go ahead and do that one more time, just because we're gonna be doing it a lot. So let's get good at it. So let's raise our arms up in the air, and then hinge at the hips as we forward fold. Placing our hands back down on the mat. Bending your knees if you need to get there. Let's slide that right foot backwards into that low lunge. And just 1 or 2 breaths here, and we'll slide the left foot back as well. Finding plank. And then we'll chaturanga down. So chaturanga all the way down. And then push your chest up for an up dog. And then we're gonna push our hips up for a down dog. And then sweep your right foot through. So it's cut through or around. So it's in between your hands. Another breath, and we step up to the front of the mat and roll up one vertebrae at a time. Awesome. So let's come into our first peak pose. Let's lift the the right leg. So we're coming into tree pose. So first, finding stability in your body. Finding stability in the mat, in your foot. Now we're pushing all of the weight onto our left foot, slowly lifting up our right foot. So we're gonna just in the air a little bit. We're able to stand perfectly fine. And then from here, we're gonna bring our right foot up. So just the sole of the foot comes onto our calf. And we're gonna open our knee out to the side. And we'll take a couple breaths here, finding stability. Maybe even raising our arms up in the air. Keeping the shoulders down and away from the ears. Shoulder blades running back, right down our back. All right, so this is part of my peak flow. So these are two things that we're doing. So we're doing tree pose into a pyramid pose. So from here, we're gonna sweep your right foot that's up, back behind you. So we have all the stability, all the balance on our left foot already, right? So it should be okay to lift our right leg away. If you need to put it down on the ground, that's fine. But sweep that around behind you so that your heel is in line with the arch of that back foot. All right, now once we're here, we can hinge at the hips and with a flat back and bring our hands down to our thigh. And we'll take a couple breaths here as well, still finding our stability and our balance. All right, let's do that 2 more times, right? So let's find our way back up to that tree pose. So pushing up forward, coming up, putting all the weight on that left foot, and then sweeping that right foot so that the sole of the foot is on that calf. And then raising our arms up in the air. And we'll take 2 breaths here. And then sweep that right leg behind you. So in pyramid pose, bend at the hip slightly, bring that hand down to your thigh, and take a couple breaths here. All right, one more last time. Let's push up. Find our way back up into that tree pose. Raise our arms up in the air. 2 breaths here. Then sweep your right leg behind you. Getting that arch of the foot and that heel in line. Hinge at the hips. Bring that palm down to your thigh. And take a few more breaths here. A couple. We're doing 2. And then find your way back up to standing. All right, now we gotta do the other side, but let's come into a flow first. So flow, raising our arms up in the air. We'll hinge at the hips and lower arms down to the mat. And then sweep your right foot backwards. Back behind you into a low lunge. 1 breath here. And then we'll sweep our left foot back into a plank. You can drop down to your knees if you need. And chaturanga down. To an up dog. And then push back into a down dog. And then we sweep your right foot forward, coming in between our hands. Into a low lunge on the other side. And then with our hands still on the mat, we're stepping up to the front and rolling up 1 vertebrae at a time. Awesome. All right, let's do tree pose on the other side. So let's put all the pressure onto that right foot this time. Kind of wiggle our left foot around a little bit. Make sure that we can get up off the air. Get it off the mat. And then place the bottom of that left foot onto our calf. All right, so finding our stability here, finding our tree pose. We're gonna raise our arms up in the air. Then take a couple breaths. And then we'll sweep that leg around back and get our arch of the foot in line with the heel of the foot in front. And bring our hands down to our thigh, hinging at the hips for pyramid pose. Let's take 2 breaths here. And then find our way back up to standing at the front. All right, let's do it 2 more times. So sweeping that sole of the foot up to your calf, finding your stability, finding the balance, finding that tree pose. 2 breaths. And then we sweep our left foot around, getting the arch of the foot in line with the heel of the foot in front. And then hinging at the hips. Let's come into a pyramid pose. All right, 1 more time. Let's stand up to the front of the mat. And tree pose. Arms in the air, find our stability. And then sweep your left foot behind you into a pyramid pose. Hinge at the hips. All right, I can't remember if we did it 2 times or 1 more time. Let's do it 1 more time, why not? Here we go. Tree pose. Arms up. 2 breaths. And then sweep that left foot behind you into a pyramid pose. Last one here. Just 2 more breaths, and then we can step up to the front of the mat. And we'll come through our flow again. Lots of flows. Arms up in the air, hinge at the hips as we forward fold. Place your hands down on the mat, and slide that right foot backwards. 1 breath here, and then slide your left foot back as well. All right, then chaturanga down to an up dog, and push back to a down dog. And then you'll sweep your right foot through again, coming up to the top, into a low lunge on the other side. And then hands on the mat, let's stand all the way up to the front, and roll up 1 vertebrae at a time. All right, do our next peak poses. So let's go ahead and sweep your right foot backwards, left foot in front for warrior 2. All right, so let's stack that knee over that ankle. Perfect. Arms come out to the side and parallel to the mat as you gaze at the front of the front finger. So just take 2 breaths here. This is when you need your block if you're going to need it. All right, so 2 breaths here. Then we're going to straighten that front knee, and we're going to hinge at the hips. Bring your chest off to the side, and then down for pyramid. And then we'll just take 2 breaths here. And raise back up again for warrior 2. So up and bend that front knee. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And again, straighten that front knee, hinge at the hips, and down into a triangle pose. Again, 2 more breaths. And we'll stand back up again into a warrior 2. Again, just a few more breaths. Then we'll straighten that front knee, hinge at the hips, and lower down for our triangle pose again. Perfect, and then let's straighten our torso and step up to the front of the mat. And flow. Arms up in the air, hinge at the hips and lower down. Get our hands onto the mat, sweeping your right leg back. And then your left leg back. Chaturanga down to an up dog. And push back to a down dog. Sweep your right foot forward. And then come all the way to standing. Up at the front and roll up 1 vertebrae at a time. Perfect. And now we'll do the other side. So bring your right foot forward, left foot back, heels in line with the arch of the foot. Knee is stacked over the ankle, hips are open to the side of the room, and arms come out to be parallel to the ground. Gazing at the front finger, we'll take a couple breaths here. All right, and then coming into our triangle pose, straighten that front knee, hinge at the hips, and lower down. Let's take a couple breaths here. And then straighten your torso back up again. And bend that front knee. Awesome. 2 more breaths here. Then we'll straighten that front knee and hinge at the hips, and then lower all the way down. And taking 2 more breaths here. Raise back up again. And bend that knee, warrior 2. Last ones. 2 more breaths here. Straighten that front knee, hinge at the hips, and lower all the way down. Take a couple more breaths here. And then raise back up again. And find your way to standing at the front of the mat for our flow. So flowing again, raising our arms up in the air and hinging at the hips as we lower down. Placing our hands down on the mat next to us. And then slide that right foot backwards in that low lunge. And then slide the left foot back as well. And then we're going to chaturanga down to an up dog. And then push back to a down dog. And sweep your right foot forward again. And come to the front of the mat with both feet rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Awesome. Sweet, perfect. And on to a third set of peak poses. So we're going to step back with your right foot back. And we're stepping into a high lunge. So our hips are facing forward. This knee is stacking over this ankle. We are on the ball of the back foot. And we're bending that knee so that we're getting our hip over that knee. All right? So from here, maybe placing your hand on the mat or on your thigh, or maybe even raising your arms up in the air. So keeping a straight spine, a straight torso, your shoulders away from the ears. All right, this is the hard one. So we're pushing off into a warrior three. So we're finding balance. So at this point, maybe like slowly start lifting that back foot a little bit, getting the balance, getting the weight onto this front foot, onto this front leg in general. So grounding down through all four corners of that foot, right? Then we're pushing off with the back foot, push off, and raising up into a warrior three position, getting our body as parallel to the ground as possible. We'll just take 2 breaths here. And then lower that back foot down again into that high lunge. All right? Once again, high lunge. Let's take a couple more breaths here. We're gonna do that 2 more times on this side. All right, and once again, push off, push forward into your warrior three. Maybe big inhale to get you there. And then exhale, big exhale once you're there. And then 2 more breaths. And then we'll lower that back leg down again into that high lunge. All right. Let's do this one more time. You got this. My glutes are starting to burn. Let's go ahead and raise our arms up and then push off for warrior three. Push, push, push. Damn it. I lost my balance. Hopefully you found your balance. 2 more breaths. And lower that back foot down. And then come to standing at the front of the mat. And once again, let's come through our flow. So raising our arms up in the air, hinging at the hips and lowering all the way down. Placing our hands down on the mat. And let's slide your right foot backwards. And then slide your left foot back. And chaturanga down to an up dog. And then push back to a down dog. And then sweep your right foot through again, coming up in between your hands for that low lunge. And then come all the way to standing, or come both feet together. And then come to standing. Awesome. All right, ready for high lunge to warrior three on the other side. Let's place that left foot back, stacking this knee over that ankle, on the ball of that back foot, getting this knee underneath your hip. We'll take a couple breaths here. And then raise our arms up in the air. And let's do this. Push off, warrior three, finding all the balance, putting all the weight into that front foot, and go. 2 more big breaths. And then lowering that back foot down and back into our high lunge. All right, once again, find our stability, find our balance. Take a couple more breaths here. Maybe sucking in your belly button a little bit. Engaging your core. All right, let's take a big inhale and push off as we exhale out. 2 more big breaths in and out. And then lowering that left foot back down again. Back into that high lunge. Arms up in the air. Let's do this one more time. So a couple more breaths in high lunge. And then push off. Big inhale, and then big exhale. 2 more breaths. And then lowering that back foot down again. Awesome. Let's step up to the front of the mat. And we're gonna flow through it. Flow feels so nice. Up and hinging in the hips as you lower down. Placing your hands down on the mat. Sweep that right foot backwards. And then the left foot back. Chaturanga down to an up dog. And then push back to a down dog. And then sweep your right foot through, coming in between your hands. And then we're gonna step up to the front of the mat and roll up 1 vertebrae at a time. All right, cool. We did it. Okay, do we have enough time for the next set? I can't decide. Let's go into cool down. So let's do 1 more flow, just because I like it a lot and it felt so nice. So finish off with the flow and then get down onto our cool down. So arms up, hinges at the hips, lowering down, hands find the mat. Sweep that right foot back. And then the left foot back. Chaturanga down to an up dog. And then push back to a down dog. Sweep your right foot through, forward. And then your left foot comes through too. And then rolling up 1 vertebrae at a time. All right, perfect. Let's get down on the mat now, all the way down. Let's actually start in a child's pose for a cool down. So knees on the mat, heels on the mat, hip back by your heels. Chest comes down to your thigh or the mat. We reach our arms out in front of us and slowly lower our head down to the mat too. So release and relax into this pose. Relax into the mat. Feel just the mat around you. Perfect. I love this one. This is a great opposite to those back bends. Perfect. And then let's come back up to seating, and we're gonna sweep our legs around and come into a forward fold. So legs out in front of us for a staff pose first. So maybe you need to help your glutes get there. And then bring our hands down to either side, straightening our torso, straightening our spine, head up towards the sky. And then hinging at the hips with a straight spine. Reach out for your shin, the ankles to the bottom of the feet. And with your straight spine, go as far as you can. And then you can round over once we get there. And let's roll up 1 vertebrae at a time. And we'll do that again, hinging at the hips. And forward folds, reach, reach, reach. And then rolling up 1 vertebrae at a time again. Let's come into a spinal twist next. So bringing the sole of the foot to the thigh, next to the left thigh. Let's grab the knee with the opposite hand. So grabbing your right knee with your left hand, placing your right hand behind you, keeping your spine straight as your torso twists. So get deeper into this twist with every breath. Do 2 more big breaths, and then we'll straighten our torso to the front of the room. Let's go ahead and switch sides. So put that right foot down, grab your left foot up, put that foot next to that thigh, grab that knee with the opposite hand, and place your left hand behind you. With your straight spine, start start to twist. And with every breath, get a little bit deeper in the twist. Perfect. Let's straighten our torso back out again. And then I have to work my way up the mat, but we're going to be rolling back onto our back. So roll back, grab your knees into your chest. And let's roll on the spine, rock on the spine, so rock up and down. That's what I like to do. It's kind of like a spine massage. Awesome. And then with just one leg, so place that left foot down so you have this right knee in your chest. And just bring that as close to your chest as possible. And then from here, if you wish, if your knee is as close as you can start raising the sole of the foot up, right? But just go as far as you can. It's definitely a big stretch. If you can't go very far, if you're like, oh, that's it, then that's great. If you can go further, go for it. Ooh, I'm shaking too. All right, bring that back down again. And then let's switch. So place that down, grab your left knee into your chest. We'll take a couple breaths here. And then also with this foot, slowly start to bring that sole of the foot up a little bit. Still keeping your knee into your chest. Just see how far you can get it. And then lower it back down again. Perfect. Let's bring both of our knees up to a 90-degree angle. And then our arms come out to either side of our body as you come in for another torso twist. So why don't you lower your knees down maybe to the left side of your body as you gaze out to the right. And we'll take a few breaths here. Just kind of releasing and relaxing into this. Maybe you're starting to feel your muscles melt into the mat. You're so relaxed. And then let's go ahead and bring our knees up and over onto the other side of our body, dropping them down onto the right side as we gaze off to the left, keeping both of our shoulder blades stuck down into the mat, feeling our muscles releasing and relaxing into the ground. Perfect, and then we'll raise our knees back up again and drop them down. And then bring your arms to either side of your body and just get yourself situated on the mat in a way that feels comfortable for you. And then just slowly start to let your body release and relax. Feel the muscles melting away. Feeling the ground cradle your body. So today's class was about balance. We did a lot of balance poses, a lot of stability poses, a lot of things to help us balance, I hope. So hopefully with the balance mindset in your head today, why don't you think about how else you can balance your life out? I know for me right now, my life is not balanced. It's all over the place. But if your life is like mine, it's good to just take some time to sit and think about what you need to balance yourself out. So thank you so much for joining me in class today. If you are in Savasana still, you can stay there. If you want to get back down, it's awesome. You can stay in Savasana for 10-15 minutes. Such a great experience. But namaste. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you next time.